There are moments that don't feel accidental, moments that quietly interrupt your routine and refuse to be ignored. You were just scrolling, just passing time, just moving through your day like any other. But then something pulled you here. Something made you stop. Something made you listen. And now you're wondering why this. Why now? This is not coincidence. This is interruption by design. Because you didn't just stumble onto this message, you were drawn to it. And if you're honest with yourself, something inside you already knows that. There's a familiarity in these words, a strange sense that this moment was waiting for you before you even arrived. Let me ask you something and answer it honestly, not with your mind, but with that quiet place inside you that doesn't lie. Have you been asking for a sign? Not necessarily out loud, not in some dramatic way, but in those silent moments when you felt stuck, confused, or tired of waiting. When you whispered, "God, just show me something, anything, let me know I'm not doing this alone." Maybe it came during a sleepless night. Maybe it came after a disappointment you didn't tell anyone about. Maybe it came in the middle of a normal day that suddenly felt heavier than it should have. But you asked, and heaven heard you. Because here's what most people don't understand. You don't need perfect words for a prayer to reach the divine. Your exhaustion speaks. Your tears speak. Even your silence speaks. And when you reach that point where your soul sends out a signal, heaven responds. But not always the way you expect. Because when a sign is truly on its way, something begins to shift before it arrives. And that's exactly where you are right now. Think about the last few days or maybe the last few weeks. Something has felt different, hasn't it? You can't fully explain it, but you can feel it. It's like standing at the edge of something you can't see yet. Like something is about to happen, but it hasn't revealed itself completely. You've been more aware lately, more sensitive to people, more uncomfortable in places that used to feel normal. Conversations feel different. Energy feels different. Even your own thoughts feel louder, clear, almost like something inside you is trying to wake up. That's not random. That's preparation. Because before the sign becomes visible, your spirit must be aligned enough to recognize it. And that alignment, it doesn't feel peaceful at first. It feels like disruption. You might have felt things falling apart recently. People pulling away. Plans not working the way you expected. Old patterns breaking without warning. And a part of you wondered, why is everything shifting all at once? But what if I told you this isn't things falling apart? This is things moving out of the way. Because when you ask for a sign, you're not just asking for clarity. You're inviting change. And change, it doesn't arrive gently. It rearranges your environment. It removes what no longer belongs. It exposes what you couldn't see before. And yes, sometimes it feels uncomfortable. But that discomfort, that's confirmation. That restlessness you feel, that sense that you can't go back to how things used to be. That quiet voice telling you something is coming, that's not anxiety. That's activation. Archangel Michael does not move without purpose. When his presence is felt, it means something has already been set into motion beyond what your eyes can see. A decision has been made. A shift has been approved. A sign hath been released. And you are standing right at the moment where it begins to reach you. That's why this message feels different. That's why you didn't scroll past it. That's why something inside you said, wait, this matters. Because it does. This is your divine interruption. This is the moment where everything pauses, just long enough for you to become aware that you are not lost, not forgotten, not waiting in vain. Something is already moving toward you. The sign you asked for is no longer on the way. He has arrived. And in the next part you're going to understand exactly what you asked for and why heaven chose to answer now. Type "I am ready to SE" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1111 is now activated around you. There was a moment you remember it, even if you haven't fully acknowledged it. A moment where everything felt too heavy to carry alone. You didn't announce it. You didn't gather attention. You didn't even try to make it sound perfect. But something inside you broke just enough to whisper a request into the unseen. And in that moment, whether you realized it or not, you sent out a signal far beyond your physical world. You sent out a prayer that didn't need structure, didn't need ceremony, didn't need witnesses. It came from that deep, unguarded place within you, the place where truth lives without filters. You asked for a sign, not because you were weak, but because you were tired of guessing, tired of questioning your path, tired of wondering if you were moving forward or just standing still in disguise. You wanted clarity. You wanted confirmation. You wanted something, anything, that could break the silence and tell you that you were not walking blindly. And maybe you even questioned yourself afterward. Maybe you thought, did that even matter? Did anyone hear that? But what you didn't see, what you couldn't hear, was the immediate shift that took place the moment that request left your spirit. Because heaven does not measure prayers by volume. It measures them by sincerity. And yours was undeniable. The instant you released that silent cry, something responded. Not in noise, not in chaos, but in movement. A movement so precise, so intentional, that it began rearranging things in ways you couldn't yet understand. Because when a true prayer reaches heaven, it doesn't just get heard, it gets answered. But the answer rarely comes in the form you expect. It doesn't always arrive as instant clarity or immediate peace. Sometimes, the answer begins as a process, a quiet unfolding, a series of shifts that prepare you to receive what you asked for. That's why things started to feel different. That's why your awareness sharpened. It's why situations began revealing layers you hadn't noticed before. Because your prayer didn't just ask for a sign. It invited truth. And truth has a way of disrupting illusions. You see, when you asked for that sign, you unknowingly gave permission for everything false, everything misaligned, everything hidden to begin surfacing. Not to harm you, but to show you. To make it clear what belongs in your life and what does not. And that process, it can feel uncomfortable. Because clarity often arrives through contrast. You begin to notice what drains you. You begin to question what once felt normal. You begin to feel a quiet resistance toward things that used to hold your attention. That is not confusion. That is revelation beginning. Archangel Michael stands as a witness to these moments, not as a distant observer, but as a guardian of divine order. When a prayer like yours rises, it does not go unanswered. It triggers alignment. It activates protection. It calls forth movement in places you cannot yet see. And right now, as you listen to this, understand this clearly: your prayer has already been acknowledged, already been processed, already been set into motion. The reason you are here is not because you are searching anymore. It is because something is searching for you back. There is a response unfolding, and it is moving toward you with precision. Every delay you experienced, every moment of uncertainty, every instance where you felt like nothing was happening, it was not emptiness. It was preparation. Because if the answer had come too early, you would not have recognized it. If the sign had appeared before you were ready, you might have dismissed it. But now your awareness is different. Now your spirit is attentive. and now you are in a position to receive what you once asked for. And here is the truth that changes everything. The sign you asked for was never denied. It was being prepared in alignment with you. Your prayer was not lost. It was answered with timing. So as you stand in this moment, feeling that subtle shift, that quiet anticipation, that unexplainable awareness, understand that you are no longer in the place of asking. You have moved into the place of receiving. And what is coming next will not feel like coincidence. It will feel unmistakable. It will feel direct. It will feel like something speaking straight into your life with clarity you cannot ignore. Because that is how a true sign arrives. Not as confusion, but as certainty. Type "I receive" the answer in the comments if this message has found you. Blessing code 2222 is now activated around your path. There were moments when you almost gave up on the idea that anything was coming at all. Moments when the silence stretched so long that it started to feel like absence. You questioned the timing. You questioned the process. You even questioned yourself. You wondered if maybe you had misunderstood something, or worse, imagined it. Because from your perspective, nothing seemed to be moving. Nothing seemed to be changing. And yet, deep inside, the quiet knowing never fully left you. It lingered, even when everything around you suggested otherwise. This is where most people misinterpret the journey. They see delay, and they assume denial. They experience waiting, and they assume rejection. But what you were living through was not a closed door. It was a controlled pause, a divine recalibration that had nothing to do with withholding from you, and everything to do with preparing you. Because timing is not just about when something arrives. It is about who you are when it does. If what you asked for had come the moment you first desired it, you would have received it with a different mindset. A mindset still shaped by uncertainty, still influenced by old patterns, still connected to things that could not move forward with you. And that is why the delay existed. Not to punish you, but to protect the integrity of what was being prepared for you. Not to keep you stuck, but to ensure that when the moment came, you would be able to recognize it, receive it, and sustain it. There were things being aligned behind the scenes that you could not see. Conversations that had to happen. Decisions that had to be made. Circumstances that had to shift. But more importantly, there was something within you that needed to evolve. Your awareness needed to sharpen. Your discernment needed to deepen. Your ability to recognize truth from illusion needed to strengthen. Because the sign you asked for was never meant to confuse you. It was meant to clarify everything. And clarity requires readiness. That is why certain things slowed down in your life. That is why some paths that once felt open suddenly became uncertain. That is why doors you expected to walk through did not open when you thought they would. It was not because you were being blocked. It was because you were being redirected into alignment with something more precise. Archangel Michael does not confirm anything prematurely. His role is not to create confusion, but to guard the accuracy of divine timing. And when his presence surrounds a situation, it means that what is being released must arrive at the exact moment it can fulfill its purpose without distortion. Too early, and it would be misunderstood. Too late, and it would be missed. But now it meets you exactly where you are, because you have been brought to the point where you can see clearly. Think about how different you are now compared to when you first asked for that sign. Your perspective has shifted. Your tolerance for what drains you has decreased. Your awareness of what feels right and what does not has intensified. You no longer accept things at surface level. You question more. You observe more. You feel more. And that transformation did not happen by accident. It was the result of the delay working in your favor. What once felt like waiting was actually shaping. What once felt like nothing was happening was actually everything aligning. And now, you are standing in a moment where the timing is no longer working against you. It is working with you. This is the turning point most people never recognize. The moment where delay reveals itself as precision. Where waiting reveals itself as preparation. Where silence reveals itself as strategy. And when you see it from this perspective, something shifts inside you. You stop resisting the past, and you begin to understand it. You stop questioning the timing, and you begin to trust it. Because now you can see that nothing was wasted. Every moment of uncertainty strengthened your awareness. Every delay refined your perception. Every pause positioned you for this exact moment. And this moment is not empty. It is full. Full of alignment. Full of clarity. Full of movement that is no longer hidden but about to become visible in ways you cannot ignore. The sign you asked for was never lost in the waiting. It was being shaped within it. And now that the timing has reached its point of release, you are no longer looking for confirmation. You are about to experience it. Type "I trust divine timing" in the comments if you feel this truth settling within you. Blessing code 3333 is now activated around your journey. As this truth settles into your spirit, understand that what is happening here is bigger than a single message. Every word you receive, every moment of clarity you experience, becomes a seed planted not only in your life, but in the lives of others who are still searching for their sign. When you choose to support this mission through the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen, you are not giving to a channel. You are sowing into a spiritual harvest that reaches souls who are on the edge of giving up. The word declares that when you sow, you will also reap. And this is not just written. It is alive and active over your life right now. I feel the call to say this clearly. Step into this moment with intention and act on what your spirit is prompting you to do. Let your giving become a prophetic act that unlocks light in someone else's darkness. What you release today will return multiplied, because heaven responds to obedience. Move now and be part of something eternal. There is a reason you felt this growing awareness, this quiet intensity building inside you, as if something is about to become undeniable. Because the truth is the sign you asked for has not only arrived, it has already begun revealing itself. Not in a loud, dramatic way. Not in some overwhelming display that forces attention. But in something far more powerful. Subtle certainty. The kind that doesn't shout, but settles deep within you and refuses to be ignored. You may have expected the sign to look obvious, clear, impossible to question. Something that would instantly remove all doubt and answer every question at once. But that is not how true signs work. Because if everything were handed to you in a single, unmistakable moment, you would not need discernment. You would not need awareness. You would not need growth. And what arrives without discernment can easily be misunderstood or even dismissed. So instead, the sign comes in a way that meets your level of readiness. It appears through patterns, through repetition, through moments that feel too aligned to be random, through conversations that echo something you've been thinking about privately, through sudden realizations that seem to come out of nowhere but feel deeply familiar, through shifts in energy that make certain paths feel right and others feel completely off, even if they once made sense. Have you noticed it? That moment when something clicked inside you without explanation. That instant when you felt a clear yes or no about something without needing external validation. That situation that repeated itself just enough times that you could no longer call it coincidence. That unexpected clarity that came when you stopped forcing answers. These are not random occurrences. These are signals. Because a true sign does not always arrive as something new. Sometimes it arrives as recognition. It reveals what was already there but hidden beneath distraction, doubt, or noise. And now, as your awareness has sharpened, you are beginning to see it for what it truly is. Archangel Michael does not deliver confusion. His confirmation does not create chaos. It brings precision. It cuts through uncertainty and reveals truth in a way that aligns both your mind and your spirit. And when his presence confirms something, it carries a distinct quality. You feel it before you fully understand it. That is what you are experiencing now. A knowing that rises before explanation. A clarity that forms before logic. A sense that something is right, even if you cannot yet articulate why. And this is where many people hesitate. They begin to question the very clarity they asked for. They second-guess the feeling. They look for external proof to validate what their inner awareness has already recognized. But the sign you asked for was never meant to be proven to others. It was meant to be recognized by you. Because this moment is not about convincing the world. It is about aligning yourself. The sign is not something separate from your life. It is woven into it. It shows up in the way certain things no longer feel right. It shows up in the way new opportunities begin to surface. It shows up in the way your attention is drawn toward specific directions without force. It shows up in the way your intuition speaks louder than your doubt. And the more you acknowledge it, the clearer it becomes. The more you trust it, the stronger it reveals itself. The more you align with it, the more undeniable it becomes. You are not waiting for the sign anymore. You are learning to recognize it. And this is the shift that changes everything. Because once you recognize the sign, you cannot unsee it. Once you feel that clarity, you cannot return to confusion. Once you understand what is being shown to you, your next step becomes unavoidable. That is why this moment matters. Because the sign has crossed from the unseen into your awareness. It is no longer distant. It is present. And now, the only question that remains is whether you will trust what has been revealed to you or retreat back into doubt. Because what comes next will require a response. Not hesitation, not delay, but movement. Type I see the sign in the comments if you recognize what hath been revealed to you. Lesson code 4444 is now activated around your awareness. Something is different and you feel it even if you can't fully explain it yet. It's not loud. It's not obvious to everyone around you. But within you, there is a quiet shift taking place, a shift that is changing the way you see, the way you feel, and the way you respond to everything around you. This is not imagination. This is not coincidence. This is movement in the spirit, and it is unfolding right now. There was a time when certain things didn't bother you. Certain environments felt normal. Certain conversations felt acceptable. You moved through situations without questioning them too deeply. But now something has changed. What once felt comfortable now feels heavy. What once felt familiar now feels out of place. What once felt easy now requires effort. And you've been asking yourself, why does everything feel different all of a sudden? Because it did. When a sign arrives, it does not come alone. It brings a shift with it, a recalibration of your awareness, a realignment of your surroundings. And this shift is not external first. It begins within you. Your sensitivity increases. Your discernment sharpens. Your tolerance for what drains you decreases. You start noticing things you once overlooked. You begin feeling the energy behind words, not just the words themselves. This is the beginning of spiritual clarity, and clarity changes everything. You are no longer able to ignore what your spirit recognizes. You are no longer able to stay where you have outgrown. You are no longer able to pretend that everything is the same when it clearly is not. This is why some relationships feel strained. This is why some conversations feel forced. This is why certain places no longer feel aligned with you. It is not because something is wrong. It is because something is shifting. Archangel Michael's presence does not just confirm a sign. It creates movement around it. When truth is revealed, everything that does not align with that truth begins to feel unstable. Not because it is being destroyed, but because it is no longer meant to hold the same place in your life. And this is where many people feel discomfort. They try to hold on to what is changing. They try to maintain what is naturally falling out of alignment. They resist the shift instead of understanding it. But you are beginning to see it differently. You are starting to realize that this discomfort is not punishment. It is transition. Think about how your reactions have changed. Things that once triggered you no longer have the same effect. Things that once held your attention now feel irrelevant. You are becoming more selective, more aware, more intentional. Not because you are trying to be different, but because you are becoming different. And this is the shift. It is subtle, but it is powerful. It is quiet, but it is undeniable. It is internal, but it is beginning to reshape your external world. Because when your inner alignment changes, your outer reality must follow. This is why certain doors feel like they are closing, not as rejection, but as redirection. This is why certain people seem distant, not as loss, but as realignment. This is why your focus is shifting toward things that feel more meaningful, more purposeful, more aligned with something greater. You are not losing your place. You are finding your position. And that position is different from where you once stood. This is where Archangel Michael's role becomes even more significant. His presence does not allow you to remain in confusion once clarity has been introduced. He brings separation, not to isolate you, but to protect your alignment. He removes the noise so you can hear clearly. He shifts your surroundings so you can see truth without distortion. And that is what is happening now. The noise is fading. The distractions are weakening. The clarity is strengthening. And you are standing in the middle of a transformation that is not yet complete, but already undeniable. You may not have all the answers yet. You may not fully understand where everything is leading, but you can feel the direction changing. You can sense that something is unfolding in a way that cannot be reversed. Because once a shift in the spirit begins, it does not stop halfway. It continues until alignment is complete. And you are already in motion. This is not the end of the shift. This is the beginning of it becoming visible. Type "I accept the shift" in the comments if you feel this transformation happening within you. Lesson code 5555 is now activated around your life. What you are experiencing did not happen in isolation. It did not unfold without resistance. And it certainly did not arrive without opposition. Because every time a sign is released, every time clarity begins to form, every time alignment starts to take shape, there is something that tries to interfere with it. Not always in obvious ways, not always in dramatic confrontations, but in subtle disruptions that are designed to delay, distract, and distort what is meant for you. And if you look back carefully, you will begin to see it. There were moments when you felt close to clarity, and then suddenly, something pulled your attention away. A distraction, a conversation, a wave of doubt that seemed to come out of nowhere. There were times when you were about to make a decision, and confusion stepped in at the last second. Times when your focus shifted without reason. Times when your energy dropped just when you needed it most. That was not random. That was resistance. Because the sign you asked for carries weight. It carries direction. It carries movement. And anything that carries that level of clarity will naturally be met with forces that attempt to slow it down. Not because they are stronger than what is meant for you, but because they rely on one thing: your hesitation. The hidden battle was never about stopping you completely. It was about delaying your recognition. If confusion could linger long enough, you might second-guess yourself. If distractions could pile up, you might lose focus. If doubt could take hold, you might dismiss what was being shown to you. And this is how the interference works, not by removing the sign, but by clouding your ability to see it clearly. Think about the patterns you've experienced. Moments of clarity followed by sudden uncertainty. Strong intuition followed by overthinking. Clear direction followed by hesitation. It's almost as if something tried to interrupt your alignment right when it was beginning to form. And that is exactly what was happening. Because when truth begins to surface, everything that thrives in confusion becomes unsettled. It reacts. It resists. It attempts to regain control by pulling you back into the familiar patterns where clarity is not required. But what it did not account for was your awareness increasing. You didn't stay in confusion. You questioned it. You didn't ignore the feeling. You leaned into it. You didn't completely lose your direction. You kept returning to it. And that persistence is what shifted the balance. Archangel Michael's presence does not eliminate the existence of resistance, but it ensures that resistance cannot override what is meant for you. His role is to guard the truth, to protect the alignment, and to cut through anything that attempts to distort it. And that is why, even when confusion tried to settle in, something within you kept pulling you back to clarity. That pull was protection. That awareness was guidance. That refusal to completely disconnect from what you felt was the sign that you were not alone in this process. The battle was never meant to defeat you. It was meant to test your attention. Because once you begin to recognize the difference between distraction and direction, the interference loses its power. Once you see how doubt tries to enter right after clarity, you stop giving it the same authority. Once you understand that hesitation is often introduced at the exact moment you are closest to alignment, you begin to move differently. And that is what has changed now. You are no longer unaware of the patterns. You are no longer easily pulled away from your focus. You are no longer interpreting every disruption as something you must follow. You are beginning to choose your direction consciously. And that choice is what breaks the cycle of interference. The hidden battle does not disappear overnight, but it loses its influence the moment you recognize it for what it is. Because clarity, once seen, cannot be fully unseen. Awareness, once activated, cannot be completely shut off. And alignment, once established, cannot be easily reversed. This is why the sign has been able to fully reach you now. Not because the resistance never existed, but because it no longer controls your attention. You have moved beyond the point where distraction can define your direction. You have stepped into a place where clarity holds more weight than confusion. And from this point forward, what once felt like interference will begin to feel like confirmation of how close you were, how aware you have become, and how aligned you are now. The battle may have been hidden, but your clarity is no longer. Type ISC through the distractions in the comments if you recognize the patterns that tried to delay you. Lesson code 6666 is now activated around your protection. There is a presence that has been with you through every moment of uncertainty, even when you didn't recognize it. a presence that does not always announce itself loudly, but reveals itself through protection, through timing, and through the quiet strength that kept you moving forward when you could have easily stopped. This is where the role of Archangel Michael becomes undeniable. Because what you have experienced was not just a process of waiting, or even a process of discovery. It was a guided movement, one that carried both protection and precision at every step. Archangel Michael is not symbolic in this moment. His role is active, intentional, strategic. He does not simply observe your path, he intervenes in ways that preserve it. And that intervention is not always visible at first. It happens in the things that didn't work out, in the situations that didn't align, in the opportunities that seemed promising but quietly fell apart. At the time, those moments may have felt like setbacks. You may have questioned them. You may have wondered why something you expected to move forward suddenly stopped. But now, looking back, something becomes clear. Those moments were not blocks. They were protection. Because not everything that appears good is aligned with your path. Not everything that opens is meant to be entered. And without that level of protection, you could have stepped into situations that would have pulled you away from what you were truly asking for. This is the part of the process that often goes unnoticed. The unseen guidance that prevents misalignment before it happens. And this is exactly how Archangel Michael operates. He does not just confirm what is right. He removes what is wrong. That removal can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like loss. It can feel like confusion in a moment. But it is always precise, always intentional, always aligned with the greater direction that is unfolding for you. Because confirmation is not only about showing you what to move toward. It is also about clearing what stands in the way. Think about the clarity you feel now compared to before. The way certain things no longer confuse you. The way certain decisions feel more direct. The way your awareness has sharpened without you forcing it. That is not something you created on your own. It is something that has been guided, refined, and strengthened through a process you were being led through step by step. And now, you are at a point where that guidance becomes more visible. Because Archangel Michael's role is not only to protect and confirm. It is also to activate. There comes a moment in every process where preparation ends and movement begins. Where clarity is no longer something you are waiting for, but something you are expected to act on. And that is the moment you are stepping into now. The presence that protected you in uncertainty is now pushing you into alignment with certainty. This is where hesitation must begin to fall away. Because you are no longer in a place of guessing. You are in a place of knowing. And knowing carries responsibility. It requires you to move differently. To respond differently. To trust what has been revealed instead of returning to old patterns of doubt. Because the same presence that guided you to this point will not support hesitation when action is required. It will continue to guide you, but it will also expect you to step forward with what you have been given. This is what makes this moment different from everything before it. Before, you were searching. Now, you are being directed. Before, you were questioning. Now, you are recognizing. Before, you were waiting. Now, you are being positioned to move. And this is where Archangel Michael's role shifts from silent protection to active direction. The same force that shielded you from misalignment is now aligning you with purpose. The same clarity that was being developed within you is now becoming the foundation for your next step. This is not a passive moment. This is a decisive one. Because once confirmation arrives, it does not linger indefinitely. It moves forward. It creates momentum. It opens paths that require response. and your ability to recognize that movement determines how fully you step into what has been prepared for you. You are not alone in this. You have not been alone at any point in this process, and what is guiding you now is not uncertain. It is precise. It is intentional. It is already in motion, and the only thing left is your willingness to move with it. Type "I move" with clarity in the comments if you feel this direction becoming real for you. Blessing code 7777 is now activated around your path forward. Now comes the moment that changes everything. Not the arrival of the sign, not the shift in your awareness, not even the confirmation you've been given. But what you choose to do with it. Because receiving a sign is only the beginning. Recognizing it is only the first step. The real transformation begins when you are faced with a decision to trust it or question it back into silence. This is the test of discernment, and it is more subtle than you might expect. Because the moment clarity arrives, something else tries to rise with it. Not confusion in the same way as before, but doubt disguised as logic. A voice that begins to question what you felt so clearly just moments ago. A thought that says, what if this isn't what you think it is? Or what if you're reading too much into it? And suddenly, the certainty you felt begins to feel like something you need to defend, even to yourself. This is not a step backward. This is the test. Because discernment is not proven when everything feels easy and obvious. It is proven in the moment when you must choose between what you know and what you are being tempted to question. You asked for a sign because you wanted clarity. Now that clarity is here, the only thing that remains is whether you will stand in it. And this is where many people lose alignment. Not because the sign was unclear, not because the guidance was wrong, but because they allowed external noise or internal doubt to override what they had already recognized. They begin to look for reassurance in places that were never meant to confirm it. They begin to seek opinions from those who cannot feel what they feel. They begin to explain something that was never meant to be explained. And slowly, the clarity begins to fade, not because it disappeared, but because it was not trusted. But you are not meant to repeat that pattern. You are meant to break it. Because what you felt when the sign revealed itself that was real. That clarity did not come from overthinking. It did not come from imagination. It came from alignment. It came from a place within you that recognizes truth before it is fully understood. And that place does not need validation from anything outside of you. Archangel Michael's presence does not create uncertainty. It sharpens your ability to distinguish between what is true and what is noise. And right now, that ability is being tested, not to weaken you, but to strengthen your trust in your own discernment. Because once you learn to trust that inner recognition, everything changes. You stop second-guessing every decision. You stop overanalyzing every sign. You stop looking outside for confirmation that already exists within. And you begin to move with a level of clarity that cannot be easily shaken. This is the moment where you decide which voice you follow. The voice that aligns with what you felt when everything became clear, or the voice that tries to pull you back into hesitation. One leads forward, the other leads back into uncertainty. And the difference between them is not volume, it is truth. The voice of clarity is steady. It does not rush you, but it does not confuse you either. It does not demand panic, but it does not encourage delay. It simply presents direction and waits for you to align with it. The voice of doubt, on the other hand, is restless. It questions everything without offering resolution. It pulls you in multiple directions. It keeps you thinking without moving. And its only purpose is to keep you from fully stepping into what you already know. So ask yourself honestly, which one have you been listening to? Because this is where the decision is made. not in some distant future moment, but right here, right now. You have already received the sign. You have already felt the clarity. You have already recognized the shift. Now the question is, will you trust it? Because trust is what activates it. Trust is what turns recognition into movement. Trust is what allows the sign to become a path instead of just a moment. And once that trust is established, everything that follows becomes easier, not because challenges disappear, but because your direction no longer feels uncertain. You are not guessing anymore. You are choosing. And that choice is what defines what comes next. Type "I trust what I felt" in the comments if you are ready to stand in your discernment. Blessing code 8888 is now activated around your clarity. As you stand in this moment of decision, understand that what you are experiencing is not just for you alone. Every time clarity reaches a soul, it creates a ripple that can awaken countless others who are still searching in silence. When you support this mission through the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen, you are not giving to a platform. You are releasing light into places where confusion still lives. The word declares that when you give, it returns pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing, and that promise is active over you right now. I feel this strongly. Step into this moment with boldness and let your action reflect your alignment. Your giving becomes a prophetic seed that opens doors not only for others, but for your own journey. Do not hesitate. Move now and become part of the divine flow that is reaching souls across the world. There is a moment in every journey where everything that once felt internal becomes external, where what you've been sensing, processing, and recognizing within you begins to take form in the world around you. That moment is not gradual. It does not unfold slowly over time. It arrives with a quiet urgency, a subtle but undeniable shift that tells you something has changed and cannot go back to the way it was. This is that moment, because the sign you asked for was never meant to leave you where you were. It was meant to move you. And now, the movement has begun. There is a door opening in your life right now. Not a physical door you can see with your eyes, but a pathway, a direction, an opportunity, a decision that is becoming clearer with every passing moment. It may not look dramatic. It may not feel overwhelming. But there is something presenting itself to you in a way that feels different from everything before it. It feels aligned. It feels right. And yet there may still be a part of you that hesitates. That hesitation is not because the door is unclear. It is because stepping through it requires leaving something behind. And this is where the real decision begins. Because every open door comes with a release. You cannot carry everything from your past into what is opening now. You cannot bring the same doubts, the same patterns, the same attachments into a space that requires clarity and intention. And this is why this moment feels so significant. Because you are not just being shown where to go, you are being asked to decide what you are willing to let go of in order to move forward. Think about what has been shifting around you. The things that no longer feel aligned. The habits that no longer serve you. The people, the thoughts, the environments that once felt normal but now feel out of place. This is not random. This is preparation for the door that is now opening. Because you cannot step into alignment while holding on to misalignment. And Archangel Michael's role in this moment is not just to show you the door, but to make it clear what cannot come with you through it. His presence does not allow confusion to remain once clarity hath been established. He separates what is necessary from what is not. He brings precision to your awareness so that when you stand at this threshold, you are not guessing what needs to change. You already know. And that knowing is what makes this moment powerful. Because action is no longer based on uncertainty. It is based on recognition. You are not being asked to figure everything out. You are being asked to respond to what has already been revealed. And that response does not require perfection. It requires willingness. Willingness to move when the path becomes clear. Willingness to trust what you have felt, even if it challenges what you are used to. Willingness to release what no longer aligns, even if it once felt comfortable. This is where many people pause. They see the door. They feel the alignment. But instead of stepping forward, they wait for more confirmation, more reassurance, more certainty. And in doing so, they delay what is already ready to unfold. But this moment is not asking you to wait. It is asking you to move. Because the door that is opening now is not meant to remain open indefinitely. It is aligned with timing. It is connected to your readiness. And the longer you hesitate, the more you risk disconnecting from the momentum that has been building toward this point. You do not need to rush, but you cannot remain still. There is a difference. Movement does not mean recklessness. It means intentional action. It means taking the step that aligns with what you now understand. It means choosing direction over indecision. It means trusting that what you have been shown is enough to begin. And once you take that step, something shifts again. The path becomes clearer. The next step reveals itself. The uncertainty begins to fade, not because everything is fully known, but because you are no longer standing in the same place. This is how alignment unfolds. Not all at once, but step by step. Decision by decision. Action by action. And right now, you are standing at the first step. The door is open. The clarity is present. The direction is clear. Now it comes down to you. Will you remain where you are, holding on to what feels familiar? Or will you step forward into what you know is aligned? Because this moment is not just about recognition anymore. It is about response. Type "I step forward now" in the comments if you are ready to move with what has been revealed to you. Blessing code 9999 is now activated around your next step. Here is something you must understand about this moment, something that is just as important as the sign itself. Every blessing carries a responsibility. Every open door carries a warning. Not because something negative is waiting for you, but because what is being given to you now is valuable, and anything valuable must be protected. You have reached a point of clarity. You have recognized the sign. You have felt the shift. You are standing at the threshold of movement. But right here, in this exact moment, there is a subtle risk, not from the outside, but from the patterns that once defined how you responded to uncertainty. Because even when clarity arrives, old habits don't disappear instantly. They try to follow you forward. And this is the warning within the blessing. The temptation to overthink what has already been made clear. The urge to go back and reanalyze what you already recognized. The pull to seek validation from people who were never meant to understand your direction. The instinct to delay action, not because you need more time, but because stepping forward feels unfamiliar. These are not random thoughts. These are echoes of your past patterns trying to remain relevant in a moment where they no longer belong. And if you are not aware of them, they can quietly slow down what is meant to move forward. Think about how many times in the past you felt something clearly and then talked yourself out of it. How many times you knew what direction felt right but hesitated until the moment passed. How many times you allowed doubt to override clarity, simply because it felt safer to stay where you were. This is the exact cycle that must not repeat now. Because this moment is different. You are not the same person you were when those patterns controlled your decisions. You are more aware, more aligned, more capable of recognizing what is real and what is distraction. And that is why this warning is being placed in front of you now, not to create fear, but to strengthen your awareness of what must be avoided. Archangel Michael's role in this stage is not only to guide you forward, but to guard you from returning backward. His presence brings a level of precision that does not allow you to unknow what you now know. And because of that, the only thing that could interfere with your movement at this point is your own hesitation. Not because hesitation is powerful, but because hesitation creates delay, and delay weakens momentum. You have already built momentum to reach this point. Every realization, every shift, every moment of clarity has moved you forward. A momentum must be maintained. It must be protected. It must be followed through with action, or it begins to fade. This is why you must be intentional now. Be mindful of what you revisit. Be aware of what you entertain. Be selective about who you involve in your decisions. Because not everything deserves access to this stage of your process. Not every opinion aligns with your direction. Not every voice carries clarity. And not every question deserves your attention. There is a difference between reflection and regression. Reflection strengthens your understanding. Regression pulls you back into confusion. And right now, your focus must remain forward. This does not mean you ignore everything. It means you recognize what is aligned and what is not. It means you trust the clarity that has already been given to you, instead of reopening questions that have already been answered. It means you move with intention, not hesitation. Because hesitation often disguises itself as caution. But there is a difference between being careful and being stuck. You are not being asked to rush blindly. You are being asked to move confidently, to act from a place of awareness, not fear, to follow what has already been revealed, not what feels comfortable. And this is where the blessing fully activates, not when it arrives, but when it is protected, when you refuse to let old patterns dilute new clarity, when you choose direction over doubt, when you remain aligned, even when it would be easier to fall back into what is familiar. This is how the blessing sustains itself. This is how the door remains open. This is how the path continues to reveal itself. Because what you avoid now determines how far you move next. And you are not meant to stop here. You are meant to continue forward, clearly, confidently, and without returning to what no longer serves you. Type "I protect my clarity" in the comments if you are committed to moving forward without hesitation. Blessing code 1010 is now activated around your path. There comes a moment when everything you have felt, everything you have questioned, and everything you have been guided through begins to converge into one undeniable truth. You are no longer who you used to be, and because of that, your path can no longer look the same. This is the moment of alignment. Not something distant, not something abstract, but something real, present, and unfolding in front of you right now. Alignment is not just about reaching a destination. It is about becoming the version of yourself that can walk in what was always meant for you. And this is what has been happening beneath the surface the entire time. Every delay, every shift, every moment of clarity you have experienced has been shaping you into someone who can now recognize, receive, and step into what was promised. You are no longer searching for direction. You are standing in it. And this changes everything. Because when alignment begins, it does not ask for permission. It does not wait for comfort. It does not slow down to match old patterns. It moves forward with precision, and it expects you to move with it. This is why this moment feels both clear and intense at the same time. because part of you recognizes exactly what is happening, while another part is still adjusting to the reality of it. You can feel that something is different, not just around you, but within you. Your thoughts are sharper. Your decisions feel more intentional. Your awareness no longer allows you to settle for what you once accepted. This is alignment taking hold, and with it comes a level of responsibility that cannot be ignored. Because now that you see clearly, you cannot choose blindly. Now that you understand what is aligned, you cannot continue entertaining what is not. Now that you feel the direction, you cannot pretend you don't know which way to go. This is where your destiny begins to move from possibility into reality. Not because something external has suddenly changed, but because you have. Archangel Michael's presence in this stage is not about revealing more. It is about stabilizing what has already been revealed. He stands as a guardian of alignment, ensuring that what you are stepping into remains clear, protected, and undistorted. And this is why your focus now matters more than ever. Because alignment requires consistency. It requires that you continue to choose what is right, even when it challenges what is familiar. Think about what you are being drawn toward right now. The direction that feels natural, even if it is new. The decisions that feel right, even if they require courage. The opportunities that seem to align without force. These are not random. They are part of the path that has been prepared for you. And now, you are in a position to step into them fully. But stepping into alignment is not a single action. It is a series of choices. Choices that reinforce the direction you are now aware of. Choices that strengthen the clarity you have received. Choices that move you further away from confusion and closer to purpose. This is why hesitation cannot define this moment. Because hesitation belongs to uncertainty, and you are no longer uncertain. You may not know every detail. You may not see every step ahead, but you know enough. Enough to move. Enough to choose. Enough to trust what have been placed in front of you. And that is all alignment requires. Because once you take the next step, something else happens. The path responds. The clarity deepens. The direction strengthens. And what once felt like a possibility begins to feel like something you are actively living. This is how destiny unfolds. Not all at once, but in alignment with every step you take. And right now, you are no longer standing outside of it. You are inside it. You are participating in it. You are becoming it. This is not a moment to question. This is a moment to continue. To move forward with what you now understand. To trust what has already been confirmed. To remain aligned with what has already been revealed. Because everything you have been asking for is no longer ahead of you. It is unfolding through you. And the more you align with it, the more undeniable it becomes. Type "I step into my destiny" in the comments if you are ready to fully align with what has been prepared for you. Blessing code 1112 is now activated around your path. This is it. Not another moment of wondering. Not another phase of waiting. Not another cycle of questioning what you already feel deep within you. This is the moment where everything comes together. The moment where the sign is no longer something you are trying to interpret, but something you are fully meant to embody. Because the truth is, this was never just about receiving a sign. It was about becoming someone who could recognize it, trust it, and move with it. And now, you have reached that point. Look at everything that has happened to bring you here. The questions that once filled your mind are no longer as loud. The confusion that once surrounded your path has started to clear. The hesitation that once slowed you down has begun to lose its grip. And in its place, something else has emerged. something steady, something grounded, something undeniable. Clarity, not perfect understanding of everything ahead, but a clear awareness of what matters now, a knowing that does not need to be explained to anyone else, a direction that feels aligned, even if it challenges what you were used to. This is the confirmation, not something outside of you, but something that has taken root within you. Because the most powerful sign you will ever receive is not just what appears in your life, it is what awakens inside of you when it does. That is why this moment cannot be missed. Because missing it does not mean the sign disappears. It means you ignore what you already know. And ignoring it leads back to the same place you have already outgrown. Back to hesitation. Back to uncertainty. Back to waiting for something you have already received. But you are not there anymore. You have moved beyond that. You have seen too much. Felt too much. Recognized too much. To return to that version of yourself. And this is why Archangel Michael's confirmation is not something you can overlook. His role was never to force you into action, but to make the truth so clear that you cannot deny it. To bring you to a point where your next step is not based on fear, but on recognition. And that is exactly where you are now. Standing at the edge of what is familiar and what is aligned. Standing between who you were and who you are becoming. Standing in a moment that will define the direction you take from here. This is not pressure. This is purpose. Because purpose always comes with a moment of decision. A moment where everything pauses just long enough for you to choose. Not based on what feels comfortable, but based on what you know is right. That you do know. That is what makes this moment powerful. Because you are no longer searching for answers. You are responding to them. The sign has done its part. The clarity has done its part. The alignment has done its part. Now it is your turn. To move. To trust. To continue forward without returning to what you have already outgrown. Because everything that follows this moment depends on that choice. And once you make it, something shifts permanently. You no longer look back with uncertainty. You move forward with intention. You no longer question whether you are on the right path. You begin to create it with every step you take. This is the final confirmation. Not that something is coming, but that it is already here, and you are already in it. So do not hesitate now. Do not delay now. Do not doubt what has already been revealed to you. Because this moment was not given to you to be observed. It was given to you to be acted on. And once you do, everything changes. Type "I accept" the confirmation in the comments if you are ready to fully step into this moment. Blessing code 1212 is now activated around your life. As this final confirmation settles into your spirit, understand this. What you have just received is not just a message. It is a living current of truth meant to reach far beyond you. There are souls right now standing where you once stood, asking for a sign, waiting for clarity, searching in silence. And through your action, you become the vessel that carries this light to them. The word declares that when you sow into fertile ground, your harvest will overflow, and this moment is fertile with purpose. I feel this deeply. When you give through the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen, you are not donating. You are activating a divine exchange that multiplies both impact and blessing. Say it within yourself. I am part of this mission, and move in obedience. Your seed becomes oil that keeps this light burning for others still in darkness. Act now, and let your giving speak where words cannot.